Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Let's talk today about imposter feelings, specifically whether the imposter feelings will ever go away. And what does it say if you're having imposter feelings? As always, me and my love of categories. I'm going to give you two different types of categories when most likely you're going to experience imposter feelings in relationship to gender transition or your gender evolution, whichever way you'd like to describe it, as well as why is it that you continue to experience it, and what are the two most common factors in my experience in regards to gender that tend to cause the imposter feelings in you. Now, some of you may not feel or experience imposter feelings, and that's wonderful. The truth is, for majority of human beings, feeling like you're an imposter, whether it is in relationship to your gender, whether it is in relationship to a new job, in relationship to new aspirations, in relationship to being a parent, in relationship to so many other things in our lives, are very, very common. A lot of people report feeling or have felt imposter feelings one way or another in the past. Some of you may even feel it currently. In other words, feeling like an imposter or feeling like you don't belong where you're at is not just something that's novel to trans folks. It is something that's common to all of us, regardless of gender, regardless of anything else. It just so happens that for you specifically, it is going to be in regards to gender. And I'll explain to you why. So what is imposter feelings when we talk about them? A lot of you use different words to describe it. Again, as I said before, feeling like you don't belong. Feeling like you're trespassing, that's another one. Feeling like you are on uncharted territory. Feeling like you are in a space that is not really meant for you. And there's so many other ways that you may find yourself describing these feelings of imposter. In so many ways, imposter feelings are feeling like we're really not who we think we are. We're really not who we say we are. We don't own it yet. In terms of transition, and when people do transition, I see that people tend to experience imposter feelings often in two categories. One, when they're going through gender transition, and two, when they have completed whatever this transition means for you, and they have completed gender transition. Some people who identify as oftentimes binary presentation of gender will call this period of life perhaps living styles for them, where they're not disclosing their gender history. And they also may feel imposter syndrome or imposter feelings. And I'll explain to you why that is as well. So in the beginning, when we are starting gender transition, when you're starting gender transition, it is incredibly common to feel imposter feelings. In fact, the older you are, the higher your imposter feelings may be. Reason being is because the older you are, the more you have spent living life being interacted with external world and being perceived by external world as the gender you were assigned at birth. So as a result, there's an adaptation that happened to you. There's habituation that happened to you. The way you also navigate things, the way you also have accustomed to see things. So as a result, if you are transitioning and started to transition, it may feel even more as if you are crossing that territory you're not meant to cross because you spent that many years living in this territory, if you will. Again, I'm splitting them, but often it does feels like you're splitting. For those of you who are younger and don't have a lot of gender history under your belt, you also still may feel like imposter syndrome, imposter feelings like you don't belong. Oftentimes for you, you're going to feel like you don't belong, not because you spent X amount of years living in gender assigned at birth, because you're still relatively young, you're a young adult, but because as young adult, you're going to have most likely your parents and your family members and people who are very close to you, if they're resistant, telling you that you don't belong there. So it is really kind of the relationship to lack of support that is going to bring up imposter feelings and make you question everything about yourself. One way or another, people feel some form of not belonging initially because they just don't have those saturated social experiences yet. Interestingly, when people do complete transition, whatever it is, maybe for them, some people, not all, but some still continue to report feeling imposter feelings. Why is that? Why is it, especially for those people who are living what they like to call styles, not disclosing their gender identity and again using their words passing? Why is it that some of you are still feeling like you're imposter, still feeling like you're trespassing territory, even though here you are, you obviously being recognized and being related to in your authentic gender? Now, one of the main reasons why it happens to people who have completed transition is because most likely, I would say, it's not that you now, let me put it this way, now that you physically achieved your gender congruency, internally, you may still struggle with some sense of fully owning who you are. And because you struggle with that sense of owning who you are, whether it is conscious to you or subconscious to you, remember, you could be not even aware that you're struggling with this. When you find yourself in an environment, your brain working almost on hyper, overdrive, if you will, in order to make you feel comfortable. And as a result, you feel this imposter feeling because you haven't really fully owned who you are. There's subconscious fears that if people are going to find out about your gender history, something is going to happen. And it is that fears that creates the feelings of impostership and the feelings of trespassing, as if you don't belong. Now, it also could be that you have accepted yourself completely, but because you're so early out of the water, meaning you have completed, again, whatever transition is for you, but you haven't really lived in your authentic gender for a long period of time. As a result, you haven't really saturated yourself with social experiences, with experiences of changing and modifying your adaptability and habituation to now your authentic gender. And again, the bigger thing here is the social experiences, being immersed in the social environment. Because of that, because you lack that, you're still going to feel like you're trespassing. Because it's going to feel like, even though this is me, this is exactly who I am, it still feels a little unknown, a little strange, a little maybe not so fully familiar. And that's normal. That's because you're lacking those saturated social experiences. And this time you will get them. Now, will imposter feelings ever go away? In my opinion, absolutely they will go away. And for a lot of people, they do. But whether they go away or not largely depends on you. For individuals who feel and experience imposter feelings in a beginning, right, who experience them in the middle or in the beginning of your gender transition, they will go away as you continue to really get closer to authentic gender. The more you get in touch with who you are, the more you're going to feel affirmed and rooted and stable in who you are. The more you feel rooted and stable in who you are, the more you're going to own who you are. Remember, imposter feelings are like a big cloud of anxiety. It's almost like we have this little I want to say angel, but is it really angelic? We have this little voice in our heads that is telling us that can't be true. You're not really this. You can't possibly be this. You don't have this. You're missing this. This can't be your reality. It's like this little nagging voice in our head that messes with us. And it messes with us because we haven't done something maybe even long enough, right? Imagine or remember the first time you maybe became a parent. You probably felt like you can't really handle it until you learn how you can handle it. Maybe starting a new job, you had maybe those imposter feelings that you don't belong here until eventually you prove to yourself that, yes, I do. Same thing here. It's going to depend on you to continue to move forward and to continue to do the steps that you feel like you need to do and to assess. If those steps make you feel confident and assertive and affirmed in who you are, then you are on the right path. If you are on the right path, eventually you're going to start owning who you are. Once you're going to start owning who you are, you're going to start feeling confident. Once you're going to start feeling confident, you're going to doubt that you don't belong, and you're going to realize that, in fact, you very much do belong. And I'm here to tell you that, hell yeah, you do belong here. You belong anywhere where you feel comfortable. So imposter feelings eventually do go away. In a category for individuals who are already post-transition and are wondering, why is this happening? Why do I still feel like sometimes I'm trespassing some uncharted waters? Again, give yourself time. Ask yourself, are you really owning who you are? Really owning? Or are there still some little hang-ups? Sometimes we have little hang-ups about who we are, and they're so subconscious we don't even realize them. So ask yourself, could there be some kind of hang-ups about me really taking ownership of who I am? Or could it be that you haven't really been living your life in your authenticity that long? Remember, gender is not just internal. Gender is also very much external, right? In a sense that there's all these external cues that communicate to people how we're being seen and perceived. And if you engaged in any medical or hormonal, surgical related transition aspects, well, you most likely have modified some aspects of your secondary characteristics. If they have been modified, it's almost like you're navigating a life through a new vessel. That's new for you. It's going to feel strange sometimes. It's also going to feel amazing because you're finally going to feel like you. But do not negate the fact that there is something to say to the amount of experiences you can have as you immerse yourself in social strata. So give yourself time. I would say this: if you have completed whatever transition is for you, and you've been living as yourself for, I would say, okay, I'm going to say more than 5 years, and you still feel strong imposter feelings, most likely has less to do with being immersed in social strata and more to do with some kind of hang-ups or lack of ownership of yourself or some kind of internal work that perhaps needs to happen. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to what might be going on internal plane. But in my experience, imposter feelings are so common. Not only are they normal and natural, they're part of the process because you're stepping into something very new. Every time we step into something very new, it is going to feel just like that. It's going to feel strange and unusual and new. So allow yourself to feel it, but remember that they will go away. But you have to do two things: work on owning who you are and immerse yourself in saturated experiences. And with time, yes, the imposter feelings go away. I seldom, if I really see somebody who has had years and years and years living their life and they still have strong imposter feelings, oftentimes something about even themselves can hold them back. We don't realize sometimes that we can have a very negative attitude toward ourselves, very, very negative outlook, almost as if we're not loving or respecting or valuing ourselves enough. And I know that for trans folks, especially the older you are, that can be really, really hard when you spend a lifetime being told that you don't belong, a lifetime being told that you're not here, that you're invisible, or that you're not real. And I know that right now in our society, we have a lot of people who are saying all of that stuff, that you don't belong, you're not real, this is all bullshit, and so on and so forth. And, I gotta say this: it doesn't take much to be cruel. It doesn't take much. In fact, it's so easy to be cruel to somebody else, but it takes so much to be mindful, to be compassionate, to be kind. And it takes so much self-mastery to try to understand why somebody else might be feeling the way they do. It takes so much self-mastery. So I just want you all to realize that a lot of people who say those things, they haven't really even mastered an ounce of that self-mastery, which is so essential to being a decent, kind, mindful human being. So remember, imposter feelings do go away. They do. They always do. Comment below. Let me know if you have been in a category where you had imposter feelings and what happened. If they especially decreased or went away, what helped you battle those? If you find yourself in the midst of imposter feelings, what's kind of pulling at you the most? What is creating those blocks for you the most? Comment below, share. I love reading all of your comments, and I will see you all next time. Bye.